The Breakfast Flakes podcast brought to you by the Blue Cat Bar and Grill, next to the Roadside Event Center in Huntley. The Blue Cat, it's where it's at.
Well, there's 20 minutes of country music you don't get anywhere else.
There's reasons for that.
521, 46 degrees downtown. Nice morning. Took Paul's advice yesterday and wrote my article about duets and some of the songs that I thought were the best duets. You Don't Bring Me Flowers, I always like. Some you get tired of hearing, and then I focused on the country duets and got one comment, 7 Spanish Angels, but I like that one not only because it was a duet, but because it was a great country title. You don't even have to hear the song to know it's country from back in the days. Tell old I ain't here, we better get on home. More tickets for Winona the rest of the week. Win them before you can buy them. From the people we're hearing from, that's a pretty hot commodity. I doubt it's the same now. I'm guessing more of the tickets are online, but for many years, getting good seats at a show at Alberta Bear, which focuses on older acts, you could go down if the tickets went on sale Friday at 10. You could go down at 9:30, 9:45, and the line was short. Ticket prices were reasonable, and you could sit up front, see some of the folks you wanted to see. But they're driving us to the technology and the e-ticket, they call it. So everybody that wins this week, I need your name, your phone number, and your email address. We will email you tickets. Paul and I don't like giving out stuff we don't have in our hands, but that's just the way the business is going.
Yep, like everything else.
Another code for the Luke Combs Flyaway today and tomorrow, last 2 days of that at 8:20. You've been playing along with that. Fly you to Phoenix. The show's June 1st, $500 cash, and put you up in a hotel for a couple nights. And if you've never been down there, neat area to see. Got a message from a friend of ours driving west on I-90 this morning. Very thick fog west of Reed Point. Yep.
Had a couple big thunderstorms. Did you get some of that?
We didn't get much rain, but man, we got the boom. We got the thunder big.
We got 6/10 out of that rain.
Good.
Yeah. We had one about. That was about noon, I guess. We had a little thunderstorm, and that dropped about 1/10. So that, messed up field work or anything like that. And then last night about, must have been 4:30, we had another one come through, and that one dumped a half inch on us. And so we ended up with 6/10 yesterday.
That's good. And it's not going to be real hot and suck all that moisture out of there.
No, I told you, those are the ones that make you the money, the ones after the big rains. And so that's good. So pending any situation like 1988, where it was rainy and nice up until Memorial Day and then stopped.
It did, and was 100 every day.
Every day after Memorial Day. And it quit raining and it burned everything up. Started cutting wheat that year on July the 6th.
Yeah, that's not good.
No, and but it was a good rain yesterday. So, and I was finally able to get caught up and clean up my shop a little bit because of that. Oh my God, I was embarrassed, man. I swept in there yesterday and put tools away and stuff. I had manuals. God, it looked like John's room, and because I like a nice organized shop, and so I got that, and it was still pouring down raining, so I went in about 4:45 and turned on the news. I thought, well, I'll see if I missed anything, in case there was some flooding at the underpasses or anything. And it was only about 12 minutes into the news, and they were already done with the news. Mm-hmm. They play their jingles, dun, 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 over and over again. Then they did weather. Then they played a bunch of political spots. Then they had some canned sports story on a kid. And then they came back, and then guess what they did again? Checked weather.
They do that a lot, about four times.
I just saw the weather. Mm-hmm. And then there was this. Then they tease their morning show, or their morning show does a teaser for the next day. And it is such old school crutch television. Will there be another chance of showers Friday afternoon late in the day? We'll have all that for you tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Well, so I'm gonna tease my news today. All right, I'm gonna.
We haven't had a news tease in a while.
I'm gonna tease my news today. So, will Sage the miniature poodle win the Westminster Dog Show Best of Show? We'll have the details tomorrow. So everybody right now is going, well, I'll be a son of a bitch. You know what? I don't know whether that happened. I'm going to have to tune in to see if that dog won.
I was going to go to the hospital and watch my daughter have my first grandbaby, but instead...
I don't know if that's the case. Mm-hmm. So I shut it off. I can't watch it anymore. That's why all weekend, Mark, I spend all weekend. You cannot find any news anymore. You can't. It's, two people racing go-karts are the best way to make a lemon meringue pie or the mint julep, or it's just awful.
And for you and I, with no writers, no producers, 5 hours live, I'd love to get into a job that was 60 minutes.
And here's the thing. We got one of the most heated, contested elections coming up that we've ever had. There's 9 candidates in the Eastern Congressional District, and they're running their spots, but there's no news stories on what they're doing on the campaign trail that day or where they're at. What are they talking about that day? Where was John Tester campaigning yesterday? Where was Sheehy campaigning? This is big news, and there's nothing on it.
No, you're right.
Nothing. Not one thing.
No, I have lamented that many times. You don't have the on-the-scenes reporter like Ray Stevens was in The Streak, and the guy at the news desk goes out to that reporter. The only one I can think of where we had somebody on scene right away was Haley Monaco from Q2. Went down to where that guy got shot because he had the machete.
Oh, yeah.
But that's because it was a block from the TV station.
Yeah, the camera was there, and she could walk there.
Right. But that's the only one.
Yeah.
You never have somebody standing by.
If there's news from Granite Tower, we got it.
Exactly.
Yeah, we got it covered. It's crazy. You don't get any local news anymore, and they all claim to be the leaders. Where's my COVID update? You guys were KTV COVID for so long. It was so important when Trump was president that you let people know how many people were dying and how many people were sick every day. And we don't get those updates anymore. Not that your guy needs any help sticking his foot in his mouth anyway. And let me see here. Not now. Okay. KP2 is now the dominant COVID variant. U.S. may see a summer increase in cases. You're not hearing about that, are you? No, nope, you're not. I don't know how many boosters they're up to now. I don't know if it's 5 or 6. For the last few months, JN1 has been the dominant COVID variant. But KP2, this sounds like the Derby. Down the stretch they come. It's JNJ by a nose. Here comes KB2 on the outside. It sounds like the race. Over the past 4 years, the United States has seen summer waves of COVID hit. That's interesting over the last 4 years. But boy, it quieted down over the last 4 years, didn't it? The publicity on it. Well, sure. Yeah. Well, sure. They got the word. They got the memo. KP2 is now the leading variant. We have KP2, JN1, JN1.7, JN1.16, JN1.13, KP.11, KG1, JN1.16. Listen to all these variants at how many times it's changed. You don't hear much about it. Although you still see people out there wearing masks. Oh, yeah. More common in the Asian countries where they always wore them anyway. According to this, there has been 704 million cases of COVID around the world. And let me see here. Let's get to the USA. 111 million cases. Total deaths. We picked up another 100,000 deaths from COVID here in the last month and a half.
If it was something else killing that many people, you might hear something about it.
We are now at 1.219 million deaths, according to this, from COVID. 1.219. Now, 400,000 of those were President Trump's, and he was a mass killer. Remember that? And oh boy, your local news stations were on it all the time. KTV COVID, they covered it every day. Biden's pushing 1 million deaths under his presidency with the vaccines, and not a word about COVID anywhere.
No, you're right.
I thought you were fair and accurate. No. You're not fair and accurate. Not a bit. Brazil had 711,000 deaths. They're the next nation. India's got 1.6 billion people. They had 45 million cases. We had 111 million cases in the U.S. And they have 6 times as many people. They had about 500,000 deaths. China's nowhere on the list because they don't report it. But you don't hear much about COVID anymore. Just hasn't been that big of an issue now because we have different leadership, different people in the CDC, different everything. They all do things right. And so, Mary Mary Sheehy Mo should write an opinion on that maybe this coming Friday, because there'll be another one.
I'll go with her weekly page.
Yeah, there'll be another one in there about how far we've come with COVID. And I don't know what number of boosters they're up to. I know at one point it was 5 shots. Could be 6 now with the new variant. Who knows? And they'll release, folks, never forget this either, they will release their test results on the COVID-19 vaccine and its long-term effects and after effects in 75 years.
And why would we do that, Paul?
Because everybody that will have received that shot will probably have been dead by then.
That's right. And any side effects that may have led to their death.
Any litigation, any liability that could be possibly be put on those drug companies over that 75, everybody who will have suffered will be gone.
And is there any other drug in the history of mankind that's got that little caveat on it?
Not that I know of, but that one did. Yep. But they'll tell you in 75 years.
Would you keep seeing that doctor?
No, I sure as the hell wouldn't.
Hey, Doc, I got a little bit of a problem. Well, test results come back in 75 years.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to give you this. It may help, but you're not allowed back for 75 years after. Chuck Schumer recommending Congress spend now $32 billion over the next 3 years to develop artificial intelligence and put safeguards around it.
We don't have the money.
$32 billion. I wonder which one of his friends are going to get that money. Like the infrastructure bill and the Inflation Reduction Act that did just exactly the opposite. It added to inflation, all of that kind of crap. Wonder which, his friends in Schenectady, New York that got $400,000 for a museum and all of this. Wonder who gets that $32 billion. We don't have that. Bipartisan. That, you know what that means? I've always told you what that means. Expensive. Mm-hmm. And it's no good. It's no good. So how come, answer me this question, folks. How come John Tester, how come he never has Chuck Schumer come to Montana to help him campaign?
Mm-hmm. Because that's not really how Tester legislates.
Right. You know what kind of reception Chuck Schumer would get if he came to Montana? Mm-hmm. Now, the Republican candidates, they constantly ask for the big name Republicans to come to Montana and campaign for him. Ted Cruz or President Trump comes or any of them, they try to get them here. John Tester is not trying to get Joe Biden to come to Montana to help him campaign, is he? Mm-mm. Or Chuck Schumer. Now, why is that, folks? You know why? It's a schmuck. By the way, John Tester in his ads, besides the one with witch face that's driving everybody crazy, these ads he's running on the border is all a lie. It's all a scheme. It's all a little manipulation plan by his campaign.
Oh, Paul, he won't rest until our border is secured.
Well, you know what? John Tester had a card in the game. John Tester was a decisive vote when it came to things like the infrastructure bill, the Inflation Reduction Act. They needed him. And if the border was his number one priority, which if you look at his commercials, he could have stopped all of those bills until you secure the border. Mm-hmm. That's how it works in Congress. I'm not voting until you secure the border. That's my number. If you watch his commercials, folks, it's his number one issue. That's his number one issue. He could have stopped all of them, to get the border secure. But he didn't, did he? No. So what happened last time? When we had that defense spending bill for the Ukraine and for Israel, members of Congress, they wouldn't pass it unless it had something in it for border security. Mm-hmm. And the Democrats, Chuck Schumer and all the rest of them, all had a fit because they were withholding aid for border security. Well, that's John Tester's number one issue. But he wasn't in on that. John Tester didn't hold up that aid until he got his border security, did he?
No, I did not.
No, he didn't. Phony. He's a phony. And he's welcome to come in and prove us wrong. He's welcome to come in and show we're just a bunch of bumbling idiots here and we don't know what we're doing. But he won't. Number one issue for him is border secured. Coming up on news later on this morning, will a miniature poodle named Sage win the Westminster Best of Show title?
I'll see if I can go find just some feature sounders on YouTube.
Oh, gosh. Got the ACM Awards Thursday. They're going to do a special honor and tribute thing to Toby Keith at the ACMs. This is the same organization and same group of people that blackballed him. Yeah. The CMAs and the ACMs. Remember that, Mark?
I do.
And we remember it. We were still here. He was a red, white, and blue guy. Mm-hmm. Very supportive of the troops. and very outspoken on it. And they blackballed him. They didn't want him to perform, and now they're honoring him. He's dead and gone. I don't have that short of a memory when it comes to that kind of stuff. And
you shouldn't.
No.
You have to remember the people that have done you wrong.
Yep. If you ridiculed me and scorned me and all that publicly and humiliated me and now you want to pay tribute now that he's gone.
Jason Aldean's going to do the tribute, and they said I'm doing it because we were friends. Jason Aldean was one of the bigger stars who got snubbed by the ACM.
Yep. They did. They snubbed him too.
Under the B7.
Ready for some fun? Join the Blue Cat Bar and Grill and the Roadside Event Center for Bingo on Friday, May 31st.
Bingo!
Huge cash jackpots and great prizes. Come back Monday, June 3rd, as Dave Austin takes you on a journey through the 2000s with throwback music trivia. The Blue Cat is now serving up mouth-watering prime rib every Saturday alongside their legendary steaks. And speaking of legends, try their loaded Bloody Marys. There's always something going on at the Blue Cat Bar and Grill, just 9 minutes east of the Metro exit.
Carrie Underwood snubbed, Miranda Lambert snubbed.
Well, and Jason Aldean, they didn't like him because of that song he just did here about 8 months ago.
Try that in a small town. He was their Entertainer of the Year 3 years in a row.
Mm-hmm. And then
not going to happen again.
Try that in a small town. Then we don't like that.
Mm-hmm. Hey, folks, if you don't think there's politics related to who gets nominated and who wins, you're dreaming.
Absolutely. Now they're going to do some I forget which Toby Keith song they're going to do, but I can tell you this: it's not courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue.
I would say that's a great guess. Farmer.
They're not going to do that one. No. They'll do "Should Have Been a Cowboy."
Yeah, because that was his first big one.
Yeah, they'll do stuff like that. I always liked his early stuff. like "Who's That Man?" That was a good song. Stuff like that. So
Dreamwalking, great song.
Yeah, Dreamwalking. But they snubbed him while he was alive, and now that he's gone, why they'll honor him. Oh, he's such a great guy, and we missed him. Don't do that. Bury me with my face down.
That's right. Hey, Paul and I have joked about this for many years. If Paul dies first, he's going to leave me a list of people I do not let into the funeral. What the hell are you doing here?
That's right.
You never liked him. Get out of my church.
That's right. I want you there. The funeral is going to be on private property anyway.
And you are trespassing.
That's exactly right.
You're dressed nice, but now you can go out for a nice dinner somewhere else.
Mark will be sitting there. Oh, okay, Frank, yeah, come on in. You're welcome. Make yourself at home. Just go down the list. One of the big stories yesterday, Red Lobster filed for bankruptcy. You know why, folks? Because the lobster in the commercials is not the lobster you get at the restaurant.
I can't. That's part of it.
You lie. You lied to us all. Mm-hmm. That's not what it looks like. It looks. I shot crawdads in cricks before that were bigger than the lobsters you get at Red Lobster. Mm-hmm. It was great too because the Daisy BBs would stick in their back and you could see them below the water. But on the chopping block, the liquidator, Tag X Brands, announced this week they'll be auctioning off the contents of dozens of Red Lobster locations. 20 states. Red Lobster's been struggling for some time. Lease and labor costs have piled up. The chain reportedly was considering filing for bankruptcy. There's been the problem of endless shrimp. Last year, Red Lobster significantly expanded its previously existing all-you-can-eat shrimp deal, but customer demand overwhelmed what the chain could afford, contributing to millions of losses. And you know why, folks? Because it's a contest. And you pull yourself up to the trough. That's why I can't stand these kind of things. I have seen this millions of times. You should not be here trying to set a record.
Right.
And people do. We are the most unhealthy nation in America, or in the world, is United States. By far. Look at us. We're disgusting. All of us. Red Lobster's roots go back to 1968. They opened their first restaurant in Lakeland, Florida. Then the chain expanded rapidly. There are currently 700 locations worldwide. Yeah, I've seen it, folks, up close and personal. When you go to the Pizza Ranch, folks, right next to the ice cream machine, there's little cups there. Oh, no. I've seen people go over and get the salad bowls. and use that for the ice cream. Why don't you just stick your freaking mouth right under the spigot and turn it on and swallow it as fast as it comes through?
I wish you were wrong about something here, but you're just not. It's a contest.
It's a contest.
Look, I paid $16.75. Could I get a go bag too, please?
Yeah, exactly. God. Then if they only sold enemas, then you can make more room and eat more.
What do you get for an enema?
God.
Put that in my card too.
So anyway, back to Red Lobster.
Okay.
They're not closing the Billings store. They're not closing. Well, and if you go by Red Lobster like on a Saturday, Friday night, they're busy out there because it's next to Olive Garden and it's next to Fuddruckers and that area right there. When you're in that area.
Oh, and being next to Costco all those years didn't hurt them.
That's right. Closing 4 down in Colorado, 1 in Denver, 1 in Lakewood, Lone Tree, and Wheat Ridge. 4 in Florida, 3 in Georgia. They're closing the 1 in Lewiston, Idaho, 2 Illinois, 2 in Indiana, 2 in Iowa, Council Bluffs and Waterloo. Maddie, you got out of there just in time. 4 in Maryland, 2 in Michigan, 1 in Mississippi, 3 in New York, 1 in New Jersey. They're closing the 1 in Grand Forks, North Dakota, 1 in Oklahoma, 1 in South Carolina, and Myrtle Beach. That only makes sense. Look, anybody who is an oceanfront city, the local and independent restaurants, seafood is 10 times what Red Lobster is. They're not going to do well there.
They're not, but you got to remember back when they started, people love the franchise.
Yeah.
Okay, I know what my Wendy burger is going to taste like in Billings. I know what it's going to taste like in Denver. I know what it's going to taste like in Miami. And some people are just not adventurous, Paul.
Yeah.
That restaurant we went to in Playa del Carmen, where I got that 2.5-pound lobster that looked better than the one on TV, that was worth the adventure.
Oh, this is for KTVQ. They give you some stuff at the end of the article for news outlets, suggesting reporting threads. Go out and ask people in your community how they feel about Red Lobster closing to them. That's a great question. That I've never asked anybody how they feel. We don't give a rat's how you feel. That's not a good question. Here's the good question to ask. Does it surprise you that Red Lobster is closing and why?
When's the last time you and your family dined at Red Lobster?
Where do you like to go for your seafood rather than Red Lobster? Not how do you feel. How do you feel? I hate how do you feel. Wow, just won the biggest game of your lifetime, a Super Bowl. And Mark,
I know.
You know what's coming.
And Paul, that's 90% of the questions.
Boy, congratulations. What's going through your mind right now?
Under the B, 7.
Ready for some fun? Join the Blue Cat Bar and Grill and the Roadside Event Center for Bingo on Friday, May 31st.
Bingo!
Huge cash jackpots and great prizes. Come back Monday, June 3rd, as Dave Austin takes you on a journey through the 2000s with throwback music trivia. The Blue Cat is now serving up mouth-watering prime rib every Saturday alongside their legendary steaks. And speaking of legends, try their loaded Bloody Marys. There's always something going on at the Blue Cat Bar and Grill, just 9 minutes east of the Metro exit.
Oh my God, you're fired. I'd fire them on the spot if instead of, it came down to the last play. What were the options that you were discussing in the timeout? Which plays were you which ones were you considering? Nope. How do you feel right now and what's going through your mind? Lame, lazy, stupid. God, Wilson. Let's go on here, shall we? Ask people in your area if they frequent Red Lobster and would be willing to travel further to eat there if need be. Who is writing these questions? Anyway, the one here isn't closing yet. So you can go in and become blimp, and more blimp if you eat shrimp, and more shrimp. I only ate there twice in my life. Once I went with my family when they were very, very young for some reason. And the second time I went with Wilson and a friend of ours for the all-you-could-eat crab. And
I think that was Monday night, $20.
yeah, went there that night and never went back ever again. It's not on my list.
Well, if you're going to drive out to the West End.
If I'm going to have shrimp, I'd rather have shrimp like at the Windmill or something like that.
Right. Look at all the great restaurants for fine dining out there. And now, Red Lobster's advantage used to be their price, but now the price of labor driven up, cost of groceries driven up. So you're going to spend a pretty good size amount of money. So why not go to Jake's? Why not go to Ribbon Shop? Why not go to the Windmill? Why not go to the Montana Club?
And those lobsters, did you get a Red Lobster? Those are aquarium raised lobsters. You can't pull a lobster out of the ocean that size.
Right.
They measure all of them, like the crab.
Right. Paul and I are all for free-range lobsters.
That's right. So those are just, they're raised in, that's like Beyond Meat. Mm-hmm. It's a test tube lobster is what that is. Mm-hmm. And, your fish isn't supposed to have dark meat in it. All right. This is gross stuff here. But anyway, they're not closing in Billings. So if that's your favorite restaurant, I don't think I've ever heard anybody in Billings tell me that their favorite restaurant is Red Lobster.
No.
I've heard people tell me their favorite restaurant is Olive Garden. They love the salad. They love the soup and the breadstick. I've heard that.
Going back to when Red Lobster began, not as many places had seafood.
Right.
So that was another bonus for them. Now you can get, I just got a message, Pam says, if we're going for shrimp, I'm going to the Edgar Bar.
Edgar Bar, same thing.
Yeah.
Besides, I don't like all the plastic that's ending up in our oceans as we commercially fish out the ecosystem or something like that. But don't worry, it's still open here, so you don't have to worry about it. I love fresh seafood. I just don't like test tube, store-bought, frozen seafood all that well. And Mark, he likes Mrs. Paul's. He's a big Mrs. Paul's fish stick guy.
I haven't had fish sticks in a long time.
Well, you'd have to get up and turn it on 350. Mm-hmm. And Mark, they better be hot and ready when they get to you anyway.
Well, sometimes when she's working her second job, she didn't make me anything for dinner.
That's not nice. Didn't even leave it in the oven for you. No. If you ever get down, folks, to the St. Pete area down that way in Florida, you got to eat at the Sand Crab. I think it's the best restaurant I've ever eaten in my entire life, and they have seafood there, and it's I took family there, and it wasn't too long ago, probably 8 years ago or so, 7-8 years ago, but unbelievable restaurant, and their seafood's fresh. They catch.
There's such a difference.
Oh yeah, it's just fishermen come in. I remember on one of our flakes trip, I took when we were down in Jamaica, I took this guy with me down to see all the fishermen come in the morning, and everybody goes there and buys the fish. They throw it right there, octopus and all kind. They throw it right there, and people buy it, and they're yelling and screaming, and the locals come down and buy it. And that's good stuff. Now, sure, it's not like in Montana where on October the 12th you go out and you shoot yourself an antelope, and it's 90, and the thing's been eating sagebrush for a year, and you gut it out, you throw it on top of your Suburban, drive into town. It's nothing like that. Up at since we're talking about eating, on Memorial Day weekend they're having their big picnic again up there in Muscle Shell at Muscle Shell School. They send us this every year. Mm-hmm. This is the 20th year that they've done it. On Sunday and Monday, they start at noon, serving at noon, and they go from noon to 2:30 both days. And they barbecue a whole pig up there. And they also serve it with the baked beans and buns and potato casserole and salads and desserts and stuff like that. And the money that they raise, you just give a donation, and the donations help maintain and operate the Muscle Shell School and their community center that they have up there. But now that's good eating.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I used to go many, many years ago. We'd go to this Labor Day camp thing, and they'd bury a pig. They would build this big bonfire and get all these hot coals and stuff and put it in a hole, and then they wrap the pig up, and they put the pig in the ground and then covered it, buried it there, dig it up the next day and eat it. The stuff just falls off the bone, really good. And that's really good stuff up there. You hear people want to travel around, go somewhere on Memorial Day. You're not camping or anything. Well, you could go up and have some pig at their picnic. They do that. It's really good. I've never heard of anybody burying a cow and doing it. I've heard them do pigs, but I haven't heard them bury a half a beef or something. They'll do cuts like briskets and stuff like that. But these guys, they just bury the whole pig, head and all. The nose, cooks, everything.
Food truck in town, Antoinette's, is the best cooked shrimp I have ever had.
There you go. Private, independent restaurants, all that kind of stuff. Far better than chain seafood. Chain seafood. Because that's what it was. It was chain seafood. Well, last week, folks, we had the Wagner family give a donation to the animal shelter, $2 million. They're going to build a new shelter down there or something with it, or try to. Article in the paper today, a couple people that own a ranch up by Emigrant donated $1 million for construction of an aquatic complex up in Livingston. They are incredibly thankful to Trevor and Jan Reese-Jones for their remarkable generosity. You know what? We need to get a hold of Witchface because these people own a ranch up in Emigrant, and they may have bought bought that place. That ranch may have been purchased by that family. Now, sure, they're giving $1 million to the city to help build their aquatic center and their community space in Livingston. But if Witchface finds out that they didn't pop up from the ground in Montana, they're in big trouble with her, because you don't deserve to be here. All you folks that have moved to Montana, I want you to know this, that Jon Tester and Witchface do not like you if you moved here.
That's a bad ad for the Tester campaign, because a lot of people are as mad as you are about it.
If you decided to come here and open up a business, a restaurant, you started a farm, anything, you're raising a family here, sending your kids to school here, paying taxes here, Witchface and Jon Tester do not like you. This place is only for people that popped out of the ground like a daisy. That's it, which means that about 15 people can be here. Because their ancestors all came from someplace too, and they don't like you. I'm guessing these people from Immigrant probably came in there, loved it, fell in love with it, bought a ranch, and now they're donating $1 million to the community up there. But I'll bet Witchface and Jon Tester don't like that, because they don't belong here. You folks don't belong here either. I don't belong here. I came out in 1978. I don't belong here. Built a ranch, got 2 of them, raised a family here, sent them to college here, paid taxes, hate me. Well, they hate me for different reasons, but I don't belong here. You folks that have been here 30, 40 years, you don't belong here, and they do not want your vote or your tax dollars. All you've done is create problems for Jon Tester and Witchface. That's all you've done. You know, we jumped the donut from up there by Power that did the ads first, because his dad bought the place in the 60s and then gave it to him. That's how he got it. Well, they took that one off. So now they got Witchface on there. These people that own the ranch up there are worth $4.9 billion, according to Forbes.com. He owns a ranch near Immigrant with his wife. He made his money from oil and the gas industry. Oh, they're really going to hate you.
Oh, God.
They're really going to hate you.
Not invited to the Tester Christmas party.
No, but look what this guy did. He went out and built a business, made money in oil and gas, and he's living here paying taxes, and now he just gave $1 million to Livingston so they can build an aquatic center. And wait till Witchface sees this. She's going to flip. She's PMSing out already on Sheehy. Can you wait till she hears this one? There are architects and engineers working to build plans. They still have $3 million left to raise, but they think they can do it now. They got a good start. It's going to be built with private funds. There's a lesson. Downtown Billings Chamber and City Council. Build recreational centers with private money. You already had, when they ran that $143 million recreation tax on people. Folks, what were they smoking when they decided to do that? Really? That thing went down. I'm telling you that by the greatest margin of anything I've ever seen. But they had $6 million in pledges. They could have built $6 million worth of recreational stuff here with those pledges.
Still could.
Yeah. They hope to start building in a few years. Could open in late 2027 or 28. He started, this family began practicing oil and gas reorganization law, and then entered the business back in 1984. Founded the Chief Oil and Gas Company. God, this woman is going to hate you. He started a business even, Mark. He and his wife then established philanthropic organization, the foundation, in 2006. I mentioned Witchface and Jon Tester. I wonder how they feel about Dennis Washington. Look what he's done. Oh, yeah. But he didn't grow up here. I'll bet. Oh, my gosh. So you just keep playing that ad, because every time you run that ad, we're going to point out how stupid you are and how dumb that sounds. Unless you popped up from the ground, Jon Tester and Democrats do not want you here. Keep that in mind. It's their ad. It's not mine.
No.
They're the ones who are running them, not me. Came out, started a business, and then bought a ranch. And now he's got 4 kids and raising a and sending them to our schools. Ha! We don't want people like that here. Okay. All right. You keep running it. Thank God we got some people like that here, because if we didn't, we wouldn't get these projects like the Aquatic Center in Livingston underway.
Yeah.
Very generous people. I know with our foundation, When Mark and I collect money for our various projects and all the work we do, which it fails in comparison to these billionaires, that the work that they do, but we don't care where the money comes from because it enables us to do good things.
In-state, out-of-state, it doesn't matter.
That's right.
For the greater good.
Yeah. So you just keep running your little ads.
First news coming up. Got some more tickets for Winona. Another code for the flyaway for Luke Combs at 8:20. First news coming up.
The Breakfast Flakes podcast brought to you by the Blue Cat Bar and Grill, next to the Roadside Event Center in Huntley. The Blue Cat, it's where it's at.